Hello, hello. Hello from Hong Kong, where it is 9 a.m. And for those of you guys who are tuning in, well, no matter what time you're tuning in, it'll be a different time where you are if you're not in Hong Kong. I'm seeing some little matrix warps, but hopefully it'll clear itself out. We've even got, we just had the rainbows behind me, darn it, and they just went away. I was thinking we had some rainbows joining us. We just did. Maybe the sun will peek out again. So I'm absolutely thrilled to talk about this topic because it's something that I work on with my clients a lot. And hi, Laura, so happy you're here. And would love for you to tell me, since you're one of the first ones, are you seeing this like weird matrix blip in the video? And let me know if you can hear me okay too. So the topic that I want to just chat with you about today is something I talk about with my clients a lot, and it's essentially, what is the vibrational story that you're telling? And largely this is about really how you're showing up in your life, how you're showing up in your business. And there's just times that, thank you, there's times that, for all of our intent and purposes and everything that we want and how we want to create, I'm going to take these off, they're clickety clacking, and how we want to create in our life, that we just fall out of alignment, whatever that may be, right? And so it may be that you're going through a tough time. It may be that you find yourself like so frustrated that you aren't where you're wanting to be, that you kind of fall back into old patterns. So whatever that may be, this is a time where I just want you to kind of inquire for yourself as I walk through some of these examples of how you might be showing up in a vibrational story right now in your life or in your business that is out of alignment with what you want. So essentially, here's some examples of how, just for you to check in on your own vibrational story. So one of them may be complaining. If you're finding yourself complaining, often complaining really helps you notice. All of this stuff too, I really want to invite you to ignite your witness. So the witness is the part of you that's not totally affected, not so like in your stuff that you're completely affected by what's happening with you. But instead you can kind of develop this witness where you can just notice like, isn't that interesting that this is happening with me right now? Or, wow, isn't that interesting that I've been complaining about that over and over again? Like really igniting your witness, which really helps you step back and take notice of how you're showing up in life. And so wander into it with curiosity, with love. And so if you have been complaining, that's one thing to kind of notice. And also then look at what you're complaining about. And it may not be the surface thing. So there was an example, I actually had posted this big rant. This is probably a few months ago on my personal page, all about how I was feeling frustrated about like some of the prices in Hong Kong and all this stuff. But I actually wandered into that because I was like, I even had friends that were like, you never complain. Like, what's going on here? And it was like, I had to become really kind of curious about like, yeah, what is going on there? What is this really about? Because it's actually not about the prices. Like, I'm the one that takes myself out for expensive lunches and breakfasts, and it's really not about that. What I drilled down to recognize is that it's so much more about the meaningful connection and the human connection of what I'm experiencing when I go out to eat. The rainbows are back, yay! So really this is about recognizing getting curious and kind of noticing in this vibrational story of how you're showing up, what is really going on there. And when you're able to be really compassionate with yourself and curious with yourself, there's some real treasures in there. There's real treasures that help you identify what might be out of alignment, what you're needing, what you're wanting a little bit more support with. So here's another example. And for those of us who have just joined, we're talking about the vibrational story and kind of how you're showing up in the world. So another example of showing up, especially when it comes to business, is many of my clients, I work with very creative visionaries and very heart-centered and very sensitive, empathic. And as a result, they care very much about what they're doing, and as do I. And so I'm very familiar with this. And so there's a tendency for anyone who cares so much about what they're doing, and especially if it's your baby, right? If it's something that is literally being birthed through you, that you care about, then it's you're kind of more emotionally attached to it potentially, and therefore, guess what seeps in is perfectionism. And so for any of you guys watching this who have experienced perfectionism, I've certainly seen it, and this is something I work with big time with my clients, because it's so understandable. It's so normal when you care so much about what you're doing and care so much about the end product that you want it to be really great. And so for one example is, like, say you're needing to launch something and you just still haven't launched it, right? It still hasn't seen the light of day. You haven't got it to the finish line yet, and you kind of keep coming up with reasons of why it's not ready, why you're not ready, why things aren't ready, like, and that whole thing of like, it needs to be right, it needs to be perfect. And so one question to ask yourself in that is, what's the vibrational story you're telling in this situation? And to kind of step back and feel into that. What's the vibrational story you're telling? One possibility might be that you have one chance, and that's it, right? Like, this has to be so perfect and so good for this launch because you only have one chance. But that's not true, right? Or, that's a question that I ask my clients all the time, like, is that true? And really, this is what I call being a curious anthropologist of your own fierce convictions. And this is powerful across the board. And I'll get into a few more examples because that's a really wonderful perspective to come from, is how can you just be this curious anthropologist of like, is that true? Like, does this need to be perfect? Does it need, nothing wrong with wanting it to be great and awesome. I totally get that. And at the same time, it's like, what's another possibility? Like, this isn't your only chance, right? And so something I've seen with entrepreneurs over and over and over again is that when you launch it that first time, or you launch something, like, it's probably a mess. You probably feel like a mess. Like, something's not perfect, right? Especially if you're kind of like new in it, or it's a new avenue for you, which is a big place that I help people with, is like, you've been doing one thing for a long time. Thank you. I love the loves and likes. Thank you. And so you've been doing this thing for a little while, and you're now like, something else is emerging. Something else wants to come forth, but it's terrifying because you have never done this before, right? It's some expanded part of yourself that's wanting to come forth, but this old you knows how to make money with the old thing that you've been doing, right? Knows how to do that. You've already gone through all these problems and issues and challenges, so you've kind of like mastered that in a way, right? This new place that wants to emerge is, you're still kind of finding your footing in it, right? It's a little bit scary. So that when it's that first time and you're kind of putting it out there, there's all this kind of like identity stuff that comes up, right? That's kind of the piece I think that's fascinating about recognizing if you're feeling stuck or if you're feeling out of alignment in some way. First identifying what part of you, like getting curious, what part of you is holding on to this old identity, holding on to what you've known, which is actually very comfortable, right? Total comfort zone stuff. Holding on to what you've known, who you've been, how you've done it before, when in fact there might be something emerging in you that's saying, hey, this could be easier. It could be more aligned with what feels fun for you, what feels more alive, right? So, and that's really, that's a vibrational story within itself, is like, I must hold on to this identity, right? That this vibrational story is like, I almost call it like white knuckling, right? It's just white knuckling, trying to hold on so tight to this, to what you have been and what you were. And there's all kinds of stuff looped up in that, right? It's like, what will other people think, or they've believed in me, or they've, subscribed. And I've had this many times over because I've, launched businesses and enrolled all my friends in my community, and then chose to let it go, which has not been easy, because that was one of my fears too at times, right? It's like, but I've enrolled all these people and all these friends to support me, and now I'm just going to let this go. Like, I felt like I was letting everybody down, and was I sure that I should do this, right? That's all that shaky stuff. But when something is emerging within you, I call it like this thing that's knocking at your door, that's just, it's going to keep knocking. It's undeniable, right? It's coming through you. And at a time like this, really powerful for those of you guys who are feeling this eclipse. This is time when eclipses just like shake things up. So it's almost like if you've been holding on, it's literally like things shake you up so much that you almost have to let go. It's like a ship that's just tumbling over, and next thing you know, you're just like in the ocean and you have to learn how to swim. And the place that you want to swim towards is the shore that you want to go to. And so it can be super intense, it can be super exhausting, but what's awesome is that the whole way you have the opportunity of realigning. So another piece that I want to talk about for this vibrational story is, I think sometimes when people hear about the vibrational story or vibration or even like positive attitude, it can feel like you are trying to do this like square peg round hole, like where, that you have to be positive, that you have to put this face on. And I know certainly for all my clients, first of all, they're rebels. Can't tell them what to do. And that rebel spirit is a beautiful thing because you are so headstrong on what you want, which is great to really maximize that. At the same time, you're also very authentic and you want to be true to yourself and to others. So you don't want to just put a face on that's not really matching how you're feeling, right? So, and I so love that. This is why actually in so much of my work, we're really allowing first ourselves to feel those feelings. There's no sweeping under the rug. There's no stuffing it down, right? There's no numbing it. We have to first feel the feelings. That's something that's undeniable. And instead, our invitation here is to feel that feeling and get curious about what's going on here. Get curious about how you're showing up in the world, this vibrational story that you're telling, and then bring it back into alignment. So really what we're looking for here, and your kind of telltale sign is resonance, is vibrational resonance. And sometimes you can do some things to support yourself to get into that vibrational resonance. So for example, if you're feeling, even this is like on the basis of low vibration, which low vibration might be that you're, especially if you work at the computer all day, and you're feeling just kind of like down or tired or unfocused, one thing that might be really helpful to just gently notice and recognize is like, wow, I've been sitting here all day. I mean, you don't have a lot of movement in your body. You might even be shallow breathing. You might have been drinking coffee and you haven't even had water yet all day, right? So the level of aliveness in your body is actually at just this almost like suppressed, dormant level, right? So your sweet little small invitation there is, what can you do to just raise that vibration, bring some aliveness back into your body? That alone is like a way to raise your vibrational story, right? To change this vibrational story. And then the other piece is really recognizing what you want. That's actually one of the most important things of all of this, which is, that's why we're getting curious, is ultimately, I want to know what you want. So if it's, that you're wanting to actually launch this beautiful baby into the world, your next, emergence that wants to come forth, let's get really clear on what that looks like. What does that feel like? What's that vibrational story? It's probably like, once that's launched, it's probably not actually operating from this place of like, I only have one chance. You can almost feel the vibration in that. So if you feel into that, this story of like, I only have one chance, this has to be perfect, it's a really like tight, small, stuck story. But if you step into what that is when it's launched, here's some possibilities. This is a great question for yourself, is to explore an open possibility. So what's a possibility? Well, it's possible that it could launch and I get some really great feedback because people get to see it and it goes out there to the world and we get to see, you know, what works, what doesn't, who steps in, who it resonates with, and who it might not, right? So it gets to teach you, you know, like let it teach you as it goes out into the world. It could be, I mean, heck, if you're really designing this story the way you want, it could be that it goes gangbusters. Like I heard this phrase the other day, my friend said like there's like power of 1,000 horses or something like that, or like this magnetism of this 1,000 horses just like rushing in. And I loved that metaphor and that feeling of just like, brrr, just this like total stampede, but like in a way that maybe doesn't freak you out. But, you know, just in this way of like this magnetizing all these people. And there's some visualizations even that you can do to support yourself in that, of like, you know, welcoming these people in for if this is a big launch that you're wanting to do, or even if it's back to the example of like wanting to have more human interaction. One of the things I ended up doing a follow-up live about it, which is all about how, if that's something I want, like how can I cultivate that, right? How can I take 100% responsibility in that and cultivate that? What do I need to change, right? I can't blame it on others or point the finger at others, nor will I just decide to stay stuck in that this is my stance forever and ever, because that would be so limited, that there's more possibilities than that. So all of this is just some really beautiful ways for you to notice, what is your vibrational story? You know, how are you showing up in your life or your business? And how is that aligned with what you truly want? Because so often we can stay stuck in this certain thing that we're holding on to so tight that we may even actually believe is like protecting us or keeping us safe in that, right? The example of not launching because you want it to be perfect. It's like this, you know, the gremlin mind wants to actually be like, no, this is the way it has to be. Like it's really strong and it's really opinionated about it. So really opening yourself up to just wandering into that. I feel like it's kind of almost like a little like salve, you know, soothing salve or a bubble bath to just approach something with curiosity and kind of just rest into it and ease into it and look at it from some different sides. And this is, and also obviously why working with a coach can be so supportive, because you get to just help see yourself, see the forest from the trees of what you might not be seeing about a situation. If you would like some more support with this, next, like basically same time next week, I'm doing an online workshop and it's called Rewrite Your Scripts. And I'll put the link in here after I'm done talking to you guys. I love that you're here, and that my friends, some that I haven't seen for so long, Charlotte, I love that you're here. And so I'm doing this online workshop next, literally a week from today, in this moment, so you can mark your calendars, and that it's all about rewriting your scripts. And what I find is that even though we're so conscious and doing so much work, sometimes we can go on autopilot, and it helps so much to have somebody else walk us through a process that helps us really take the time to sit down and do it, and, you know, have this be a process that we wouldn't maybe normally do on our own or know the steps to take. And that's exactly what this is. I did Rewrite Your Scripts, actually came to me a couple years ago, and it came to me in my writing, just like flooded through me. No kidding. I woke up at 4 a.m. one morning and it just was like 30 pages came out. So that's the power of showing up to writing. I'm a big fan of my morning pages and writing. And when you stick to it and you stay connected to it, talk about vibrational story, it ends up just really showing up and giving you these sweet results. So this is something that has finally, you know, seen the light of day, and I've now done actually workshops here in Hong Kong, and this is my first time running it online, so that no matter where you are in the world, you're able to experience it, which is really exciting. And even if you're not able to make this time, so any of you guys who are catching this live later, you will be able to receive a recording, and that's cool because you can then do the process whenever works for you, whenever you find yourself out of alignment again. So if you're interested in really kind of showing up to this process, getting curious, what we're going to do is even more specifically have you go through a process of really grabbing some of these specifics. I've kind of shown you a few examples and given you a few examples from my clients and from my life, but very few. We're going to dive in a little bit more specifically. It's super affordable, and I've made it that way so that people can join, because I want more feedback and I want to keep developing this, because I think that, our relationship with our own mind, our own, vibration, and how we're showing up in the world is so powerful. I mean, it's truly like the root of everything in terms of how you're showing up and how you're feeling in your days, right? If you're feeling low or out of alignment or not feeling good, it's hard to show up for anything or anyone. And so when we can really know that we're on track and that we're feeling good, that's not only how we're going to feel amazing in the present moment, but it's how we're also going to be manifesting and creating that which is emerging from within us, that which what we want to create in the world, in our lives. So again, I'll put the link. Actually, I can even put it right here, and you guys can go take a look. And I'm super thrilled to have you have joined me live today. Thank you guys so much. Give me lots of hearts if you're there right here on the final stretch of this. And thank you, and hope to see you guys on the workshop next Friday. Rewrite your scripts. Have a wonderful evening or day wherever you are. Mwah. Lots of love.